Let's create custom sublimation designs and make some tumblers. In this video, we're going to create a sublimation tumbler wrap. So I am going to be using sublimation paper. I'm going to be using sublimation printer that I've converted by putting sublimation ink into it. We are going to walk through my process, my heat process and pressing. So what we're going to do first is we're going to design our tumbler wrap. So I'm going to design this in Canva today. Sometimes I use Canva, sometimes I use Word, but we're going to go to in my Canva account, we're going to go to custom size. And I have one that I've recently used. It is 9.3 inches by 8.2 inches, which is pretty standard for a 20-ounce skinny tumbler. When we go to print this, I will show you what I do to make sure that it fits my tumbler. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to elements. And under elements, I'm going to search for some elements. I've been playing with this morning, so I kind of know what I want already for this tumbler wrap. It is actually a custom wrap for a business that I am doing. So I am going to search diamond plate, which is going to look like a metal, and that's what I want. And so I'm going to go to see all here because I already picked out which one I want to use. I looked at this earlier. I do have the Pro in Canva, so it gives you a few more options, but there are some here that you can use without being pro. But I do recommend going pro in Canva if you're going to be doing a lot of designing. So we're going to pull this one in. Now remember, our outside here is 9.3 inches wide by 8.2 inches high. So we're going to want to fill this. So I'm going to pull it this way and I'm going to pull it this way until I get that centered. So now I've got that look that I want on this tumbler wrap. So now I'm going to go to text because I want to add some text boxes. I'm going to add text box here and I'm going to put a in there because we are going to be doing a tumbler wrap for A and J design. So I'm going to put Control C, Control V. I'm going to copy this one. So highlight this here. Get that there. Whoopsie, here. Control C, Control V, so that I have two of them. And I'm going to move this one over. And now we just got to decide what we want to use for our font. So you can go up here and you can see that it's Canva Sans is what it's using right now. So I am going to click this because I don't want to use that. I do want to show you something here though in Canva. So if you are getting, I get a lot of my fonts from Creative Fabrica. And so I download them to my computer and then I upload them into Creative Fabrica. And you can see here, it shows the fonts that I have uploaded. Most of these have come from Creative Fabrica. So if you want to upload a font, you go here to upload a font, then you search your file, and then you upload it into Canva. But I kind of have an idea of what I want to use. I was going to use something like this or this. I was going to use this New Orleans one here, if I can find it here to show you. Let's see here, Orleans regular. But when I went to do the J to change that to Orleans regular, I'll show you here. I didn't like what the J looked like. As you can see, it's got a different look and you really can't tell that it's a J. So I didn't like that J. So I wanted to change it. So what I did is I highlight the J because that's the one that I want to find the font that it looks good with. And when I was searching my fonts, the one that I really liked for this was Pinky Love, that one. I thought that looked like a good J. So now I'm going to change this A to the same thing here. Pinky Love. Sounds funny for a metal manufacturing company, but actually, I think this A and J look really good. So now I'm going to make these bigger, 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 bigger. And I'm going to have them be the same size. So this one's 174 font size, and this one is 180. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this one 180 the same as the other one, and I'm going to move these down because now we're going to add the ampersand. And so I am going to add another text box here, and I'm going to put the ampersand in there. And then we're going to stretch, and it will bring it in as the Pinky Love because that is the last font that we were using here. So I'm going to bring this up and put it in here, make it bigger, bring it down a little bit. And bring the J, make sure that they're centered well. Put this ampersand right in the center. As you're moving it, you will see that it shows you center lines. So you see the red line come up that shows you that's the center of the tumbler. And it also does it here. So you have a red line going up and you have a red line going side to side. That lets me know that this and sign is right in the center of this tumbler design. And that's what I want. So now I'm going to move the J accordingly. I make this bigger, and I'm going to move the A accordingly. Get it right in there. Now we're going to go to some effects for these letters. I'm going to go here and I'm going to change the color of this. I'm going to use a dark blue on this, I think. And then this one, the J, I will also make this, make this that dark blue as well. And I think I'm going to leave the ampersand the same black. Now you can also go to effects here under this, and you can add highlights on this, lowlights, different things. You can put, like that did the highlight there, and then go to the J here. Do the same thing here. So you can use different effects on there. I don't like these per se on this one, but just wanted to show you that there are different effects, and I'll show you those again. So you go to effects here, you have that letter highlighted, and then you can add different effects to your letter. You can also, if I were to put more letters together, you could curve them and it would give you a curve. I'll show you what I mean here. I'll just put animate. And then when I hit the curve, which I already have, you can see that it curves it. Well, then you can also change the curvage of that by going here and changing it like that with the under the curve. So, but now we're going to take that out. We're going to leave it regular and we're going to take that out because we want to go back to what we were at. Go back, 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 back. There we go. So I really like this like this. I like this design, but I'm also going to add another text box because the company is called A&J Design. And so I'll put design in here. And it's very small, so I'll stretch this out a bit. But I don't want them all the same font. So I'm going through here and I want a plain one. I kind of like this one, but I thought that was a little too not businessy for them. But I like this one. I like the Georgia Smith. So I'm going to shrink this down now, and I'm going to fit this into my design. I want it centered good, but now I'm going to make it small enough that it fits between here without touching the other. I don't want that to be prominent, the design, the word design there, but I want it to be on there. And so I am going to make sure I have this in the center. There's the center. Looks pretty good. Let's see. Oh, a little over, not quite centered the way I thought it was going to be. There. I like that. It's not touching the J. It's not touching the ampersand. I'm going to bring this A in a little bit here. And you just play with this until you get the design that you want. Now I'm going to download this because I'm going to be printing it. So I'm going to go up to the share icon here and I'm going to hit download. I'm going to stretch this way out here for size in pixels because I want it to be a high quality image. And then I'm also going to click transparent background. Now you can see that transparent background has the crown by it. So that is a pro. So, which is okay. If you don't have pro, you can download this without the transparent background because you're going to be printing it and you're not going to be putting anything else on it. But I am going to download it with the transparent background. And so it is downloading this now. And so I will pause our recording here and I will go into Word because we are going to be printing from Word. Now I have my Word program open. So I'm going to create a new blank document here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into layout options and we are going to make sure that it's an 8.5 by 11. We're going to make sure that we have landscape because we want to make sure that the tumbler wrap is the right way. And I have set some custom margins to 0. So I'm going to choose the 0 in my margins. And now I am going to insert my picture. So I went in and I tweaked that design a little bit. So I actually have two of them here. I'm going to be using the one that I tweaked after I paused our video. That's not the one. Insert picture here. So it's this one. Oops, I did it wrong again. All right, picture this device, this one. So I actually moved the ampersand a little bit and changed it. Let's see, picture this device. Right, I guess I don't have the one that I wanted. So we're just going to use this one. So now that I have this highlighted, you can see that it's highlighted by the dots here. I'll go in here and I am going to go to layout options and I am going to use wrap through with text wrapping, and this one is through. And the reason you do that is because then you can move it around on your page without having any issues. So now I'm going to highlight this again and I'm going to go to picture format here. And as you can see here, the height and the width came in at 8.2 inches wide by 9.3 and I'm sorry, 8.2 inches high and 9.3 inches wide. And that is what my 20-ounce skinny tumbler is. But I don't like trying to get my seams that close. I don't want to have white showing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to up this just slightly. I went up one notch. So now it's 8.3 by 9.41. And I'm going to print this way because when I cut this out, then I don't have to be as tight on the back to try to get that even seam. So I'll show you that as we go. So now I'm going to go into File and Print. And I'm using an Epson EcoTank 2760 that I've converted over to a sublimation printer by adding sublimation ink to it. So I'm going to go into printer properties here. And I'm going to make sure that I have premium presentation paper matte selected. And I'm going to make sure that high quality is selected. Then I'm going to go under more options and I'm going to make sure under image options that I have emphasize more and emphasize thin lines. And I'm going to make sure that I have high speed off. And we want to make sure that we always mirror our images in sublimation. So when we're printing them, they go on correctly. So now I'm going to hit OK and I'm going to print this. So I'm going to pause this video again. Here's the design just finishing up out of the printer. Now, if you're going to be creating a custom image for a customer, you're also going to want to send them a proof. So that's what we're going to do. I went back into my Canva and I'm just going to go to an Instagram post square and we're going to go in there. And then I'm going to upload the image that we just created because I want to make sure that our customer is going to like this. So we're going to go to my downloads here and we are going to add the design here. I'm missing this one. We're going to add this design to our uploads here, but I am also going to search in my uploads because I have some mock-up designs for um, tumblers in here. So I'm going to find a mock-up design. This looks like a good one. So I'm actually going to pull in this mock-up and I'm going to show you how this works. So I'm going to stretch this all the way out. And then I'm going to take the word mock out so that we can just get back to our uploads here. And here's our design that we created, and J Designs. So I'm going to pull that in and I'm going to center it on this tumbler here, which it looks pretty good. And then I'm going to hit position up here. I'm going to send it to the back. And then you can see that you have got a custom mock-up here that you can send to the customer so that they can give you approval. So again, then you just go to share and you download, and we don't need to make this transparent or anything. So I'm just going to download this design and then I will show you what it looks like so that you can send this to your customer and then they can approve this before you even print anything. You don't even have to print this so that they can see it. So I'm going to go to my downloads here, and here it is. There's the image that you're going to send to the customer. See how crisp and clear that is? So they can decide whether they want this design or if they want it tweaked at all. So that will help you when you get into designing. You don't want to print something for a customer and then they say, oh, that isn't quite what I wanted.
I used HTV Ront 125 sublimation paper, and here you can see the print. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting this right along this seam so that we don't have any white on our tumbler wrap.
I hand trim my prints with the scissors. I have found that if I use paper trimmers or cutters, they just don't work good with the sublimation paper and the ink. I don't know if it's the combination of the paper and the ink or if it's just the paper, but I do find that it tears if I use a paper cutter or a trimmer. We're going to be using heat resistant tape. You never want to use regular tape, always heat resistant tape. I have my sublimation ready tumbler here, and I use a coffee filter to rub it so that I can get all of the lint off. Coffee filters are lint free, and so that is just my preference on how to clean my blank. I use the bake method. I don't know if that's correct term, but I actually use an air fryer. It's got the convection heat, works really well. You can use a convection oven. I would not suggest using anything that you use for your food. Find something that you're just going to be using for your sublimation projects. And I had this nice air fryer that we just weren't using anymore. So I took the basket out of it and you can see that I've lined the inside with some silicone wraps here, and I will have a link below for that. That's just so that the corners of my tumblers don't get scratched. And like I said, I prefer to use my air fryer. So I always preheat my air fryer. We're going to be doing these tumblers at 385 degrees Fahrenheit, and we are going to be cooking them for 4 minutes. And I always rotate right around the third minute, either a little bit before the third minute, but never after the third minute. So right around the third minute, I do a rotate. I usually put seam down and then I rotate seam up.
So as you can see, I lightly tape. I overlapped just slightly, and then I lightly tape. And then I actually press this down on the top here. See if I can get it centered for you. I like to press this down because I'm going to be adding a shrink sleeve to this. And so by putting this tightly over the side on both the top and the bottom, just go over it with my finger to crease it a little bit. So when the shrink wrap goes on there, it's going to tighten that up really well.
So now what the shrink sleeve does is it gives it the pressure that it needs, because for sublimation you need time, temperature, and pressure. Well, for these, I get my pressure from the shrink sleeve. So I like to use the shrink sleeves. I've had very good luck with it.
I tend to put my seam for my shrink sleeve seam on seam of where I put the tumbler wrap together. You can see the tape through there. I don't know that you have to, but that just works out good for me. And then I hit this with some heat and start to shrink this down. Get it shrunk down so that I can put it into my air fryer.
Now you are going to want either heat gloves or hot pads because these are going to be extremely hot. And then I also set them on a cooling mat after I take them out of the oven to cool. They are so hot, and I do like to take my paper off when they are hot. And so you want to be really careful. So please be sure to use heat resistant gloves. So now that my shrink wrap is on and my air fryer is preheated, I'm putting my first tumbler in. And again, it's 385 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to be rotating after minute 3 or right at minute 3. And it's going to be a total of 4 minutes. Okay, we're right about at minute 3, so I am rotating. All right, these are done. Again, be very careful. These are extremely hot. I like to start at the top of my tumbler and I pull the shrink wrap off there. And then I go to the bottom and I carefully pull the shrink wrap off down there because if it sticks to the bottom, it's hard to get it off. Do not use tools for this because you will scratch your tumbler. Just use something plastic or your fingernail. No, I don't encourage you to use your fingernail because it is hot. So be very careful, but do not scratch it with anything metal. And then start to slowly unwrap your tumbler. In all my videos, I always say the reveal is the best part, and it truly is. The reveal is everything. I like to add these rubber bottoms to all the tumblers that I sell. They help with slippage on the table. They help with that terrible sound when metal is rubbing on a table. But they also have the washing instructions on them. They say hand wash only. So, when you're selling, you don't have to remember to tell people to hand wash or that they can run them through the dishwasher. It's right on your tumbler. Here you can see the tumbler and also the mock-up design. They look so good. So this is such a great way for you to do custom work and make sure that your customer approves it before you make the actual tumbler. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe to my channel and remember links will be below for items that I've used. Have a great day.